You're listening to Apparently with Mr. Gander, the podcast that explores life's uncut moments and helps you through them. I'm your host, Mr. Gander. Let's see what we have in store for you today. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode. It's yours truly, and today I have Reba the Diva in the hot seat. Let me tell you a bit about Reba. She's a professional actor, producer, sexuality educator, and consultant based in the Washington, D.C. area. In 2015, Reba began successfully hosting a series of pleasure-positive sexual education workshops in D.C. and was determined to realize a dream of becoming a full-time entertainer and entrepreneur. After an unexpected layoff in 2017, Reba walked away from her 8-year career as a fundraising and development officer in a nonprofit sector in pursuit of that dream. So she founded her company, Sexpert Consultants LLC, which is a direct sales company that offers educational entertainment with a focus on sexual health. And she co-founded 38 Creative Media Group, a boutique public relations agency specializing in communications, marketing, and brand development. Reba is also an ambassador for the American Sexual Health Association, and through her work at Sexpert Consultants LLC is committed to promoting sexual health awareness among adults of all ages. She attended Howard University and has received specialized sexual health education training from Indiana University's Center for Sexual Health Promotion. She's married to her best friend, chef and soulmate, and together they have a beautiful blended family with several kids. In her free time, Reba loves to entertain, working on multiple projects in audiobook production, independent film, music production, and theater. So you can find Reba's work on NPR, iTunes, Audible, YouTube, SoundCloud, and of course, this podcast. I mean, I have to put myself in there, right? But anyways, today we talked about a lot of different things when it comes to sex, pleasure, and sex education. And really, the focus I wanted this episode to have was the black man, and the same thing I've always wanted for every single episode. I'm not saying that all of you cannot benefit from each episode. You can, but I'm trying to help the brothers benefit a lot more from it, you know. Anyways, let's get into the episode and enjoy what Reba had to share with us. You know, it's enlightening, so enjoy. Let's kick it. Hi, Reba. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming on the show. And I already did my intro for you. I just want you to go ahead and give the guests a brief introduction. Who is Reba?
Yeah, so I'm Reba Thomas, aka Reba the Diva, and I am a sex educator and pleasure professional. I started as a sex toy consultant, and in 2015 I launched my own business teaching sex education classes to curious adults.
Cool deal.
Yep.
Deal. Sex toys. Yeah, I have my own experience with sex toys, so maybe we might explore that today. But
you said you have a lot of experience?
No, just my own experience.
You have your own experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot, maybe. Maybe not. But today we're just going to focus on, like what I told you before you came on the show. It's all about the fear that black men have when it comes to sex, pleasure, and sex education. So that's why I have you in the hot seat today, and shout out to the Cove for having us.
Yeah,
thank you to Reba for making that possible. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start with throwback. This segment, we're gonna go all the way back, and we know people know you now as the sex expert, the person that goes out there. You're having all these events and everything, but I want to go back and meet Reba at 15. Where is she in our life right now?
Interesting that you say 15. I met my husband when I was 15. We dated. He's a bit older than me. We dated and ended up becoming friends. My dad didn't like that he was so much older than me, so he told me we were like forbidden to date. And so 15 years later, here we are married with a kid of our own. So, but at 15, I thought I knew everything, right? And I knew nothing. Like at 31, I can say I knew absolutely nothing at 15. But I was curious, and I was someone who didn't have any problems asking questions. And if no one could give me an answer that I felt was, true for myself, I had no problem finding things out. So I was Google queen. I was the first person in my friend group to try anything sexual. My first experience of sex and intimacy. I thought I would. I was in love with this guy, and I wanted to lose my virginity, and we were having a hard time getting it in, right? Because we didn't know anything about lube or foreplay or anything like that. And anyway, long story short, we couldn't get it in the front, so I said, hey, let's try it in the back. And that was my first experience of, anything. And even longer story short, we used lotion that had aloe in it. And for anybody who doesn't know, that burns. It burns, okay? Don't use aloe on your sensitive parts. But anyway, I had no idea. So I came to school the next day and I told all my friends that I did it and I was, not a virgin anymore. And I explained, everything that happened, and they were like, oh my God, you did what? We don't do that. And I was shamed. And it really turned me off from anything. I didn't even want to know my body in that way. So it took me prioritizing my own pleasure to really get to the point that I'm at today.
Oh, wow. So that was heavy. So that's when you were younger, being 15. Wow, so that's heavy. For me at 15, I think I had just fathered a son.
Wow.
Well, I did not know at that time.
Okay.
So maybe a year later, that's when I found out. And he actually just turned 16 now, a few days ago, last month. Yeah, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
That was my first experience, so I ended up with a whole being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, I think that happens to a lot of people. My husband's first son, when he was 17. So, it's interesting because I feel like if we had a more comprehensive understanding of sex education, you know what I mean, we would know better. We're taught, as women, look, don't get pregnant, don't get an STD. Use condoms if you're going to do it. But we're not taught, how things work or why we shouldn't do things to get pregnant.
I can see
you
that.
know what I
I
mean?
can see that.
So, I don't know. I think definitely we're lacking on what we teach our children. In schools, what's taught. I think it's definitely lacking. But that's why I do what I do for adults, you know? I think at a certain age, where are you going to learn these things?
That is very true.
Right.
Well, let me tell you what I went through as an African child growing up. One thing we do not do in African homes is talk about sex, period. So it's one of those things where nobody knows what happens. We just know you get to a point, you start having sex, you have a baby, that's it. Because parents don't even acknowledge that it exists. So you have a bunch of people that growing up, becoming adults, that have no idea what happens in the bedroom. So coming to America and finding out that sex education, you have some form of sex education, that was really enlightening. That was really good. But
it's still lacking. Like, it's not
exactly,
even close to...
It's not close, but then if you
but
think
right,
of where I'm coming from,
yeah.
it's not even existent.
Yeah.
It's not there.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, so it's horrible. So we have a lot of people that are out here now that are going through a lot of struggles, trying to find themselves now at 30, 40, and going through a lot of mess that they probably could have avoided if they just knew what they were doing.
Yep.
And maybe a lot of pleasure that they're missing out on as well. So
a recent study just came out in the UK, I want to say the Public Health Journal. And anyway, there was a lot of facts in there that kind of stood out to me, but one of them was that the majority of women aged 55 to 65 are the most concerned about having a good sex life.
Wow.
When you're younger, you're more concerned about not getting pregnant.
Yeah, just doing it and not getting pregnant. That's it. Wow.
Exactly.
55 to 65.
And 50% of women like under 30 or under 35 reported having bad sex in the last 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it's not a priority. Like, learning and knowing these things is not a priority. But when you think back to yourself at like 15, you thought you knew everything.
Very
right?
true.
You watched a couple pornos, thought you knew all the things.
Very
and like,
true.
It didn't dawn on you that those people are actors and they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And there is a sequence of events that they're getting paid to do. And this is not how intimacy actually works.
That is true. That's very true, because as a teenager, of course, porno was like this gold thing that everybody finds it, and you get so excited and you see a few shots and you go, well, I'm going to try that, because that's exactly what sex is. But that's not what sex is. So we talked about you being at 15, and we kind of went forward. But then let's see, at what point did you decide that this is what you wanted to do? You wanted to teach other people about sex, pleasure, and basically life.
You know, it kind of started as a joke.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been that friend who, like, has no filter, you know? I mean, I know how to conduct myself in public, but if you, like, there's no topic that's off limits in conversation with me. So, you know, if I just learned what water sports is, I'm going to talk to you about it. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
But not everybody's like that, because there isn't this, like, talking about sex is not normal. It's actually shamed. You're right. In most places, but especially, you're right, in our community.
It is.
Right? And so, my husband is a chef, and he started a dinner club, and we were hosting couples classes, and we were trying to think of ways to get people into the door, like couples. And I was like, well, sex sells. How can we sell some sex? Joking. And so he was like, well, you know, couples really like that sex toy presentation stuff. I was like, oh yeah, let me call one of those ladies, have her come, we can do something collaboratively. Well, there wasn't anybody in our area. I had been to a few of those parties, and so I had called one of the major companies, and they were like, yeah, man, we don't have anybody in your area, but you seem to know a lot about these things. So we're having a special. Why don't you buy a kit and you can see if you can make some money? So, I mean, at worst case scenario, I made some money on the side. Spent some money and got a whole bunch of sex toys, right? Yep. Best case scenario, I made some money on the side. And so we were having the dinners, and they were pretty successful. But at one of the dinners, one of the women there was like, man, you could teach a blowjob workshop. And I was like, no, really, I could, though. There was a book that I was reading called Tickle His Pickle by Dr. Sadie Allison. And it was all about, like, what to do. And, like, there are things about the penis that I had, like, no idea about. And so I sat down and I made a PowerPoint presentation. I'm a big nerd.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I made a PowerPoint presentation, and I invited some friends over, and I, conducted the class. We carved cucumbers. We talked about the anatomy, and I came up with these tricks, based on what we learned about the anatomy. And they thought it was amazing. They wanted me to come out for bachelorette parties, and so I hosted one at a work share space just like this one, put it on Eventbrite, and 3 years later, here we are.
Nice. That's a good story, because it tells how you just pursued something you were passionate about. Maybe you took that joke to get you lined up with it, but eventually you're here now and you're doing what you love. And we look at that in our community, in the Black community. We shun a lot of things. I'm pretty sure that people out there like you, they're thinking, well, I could probably do this. I could probably be really good at this, but my mom would never allow this. My dad would basically disown me. Yeah. And like for Africans now, and I'm pretty sure in the Black community as well, there's this comedian, I forgot her name. Her joke always is that Africans don't give birth to anybody. They give birth to engineers, doctors, and lawyers. They say, oh, what sex is a child? They say, my child is a doctor. So I just gave birth to an engineer or to a lawyer. So imagine somebody going to an African parent, and telling them, like, hey, I want to be a sex expert. They would die. They would lose it.
Can you imagine how my father felt when I said, so I got laid off and I'm not getting another job. I'm going to teach sex classes.
Yeah. I could just envision that. That's crazy.
So I rent the bottom half of my parents' house. We're into an intergenerational home, and my father was like, absolutely not in my house, you gotta leave. And I was like, yeah, okay. Because this rent check is coming on time. So I don't know, both of my parents actually are not like very open about what I do. When you ask my mom, she says, oh, she teaches women's classes. It's not like, it's not like, oh, my daughter's a sex educator. And to be completely honest, it took a while for me to come out of the professional closet. Like, I started as a communications professional, fundraising and development for nonprofits. And this year, I, updated my LinkedIn to include all my sexuality educator information. And I lost a couple of LinkedIn followers. And that's fine. I get it. I get it. Like, people are like, well, this goes against my religious views. And I'm just like, but you're a mom or a dad.
Exactly.
You've had the sex. So I don't understand why it's not okay for me to talk about it. So I don't know. People project their shame onto you a lot of times, and that's kind of what I had to realize. I'm not doing something shameful.
No, you're not.
But people feel shame about sex and their bodies and how things work, and so that makes me dirty or
Yeah, but the problem we face in the Black community, I really don't know what the women say, because I'm always kicked out when I'm sitting amongst a lot of women. But with guys, we brag, we say all these things amongst our friends, but in reality, we don't really practice half of the things that we preach or the things that we claim we do. And I'm pretty sure they were gonna revoke my card for this, but we make all these claims, we do all this bragging with our friends, like, yeah, man, I tapped that, I did. But then when you really look at it, they don't have a single idea of what's going on. They have no idea what's going on with their own body, or how to pleasure somebody else. And we don't want to go to somebody and seek that advice or that information, because one, it undermines your manhood. And two, it's just weird. It's just gross, like asking somebody else for, especially asking a woman, and then you're like, oh, she knows more than I do. What does that make me? So there's
a lot of ego involved in sex.
Oh, a lot.
And to be completely honest, the best sex involves shedding of that ego, right? And being just showing up as your complete and utter self, right?
That is true.
So, yeah, of course, you guys are going to talk about the things that don't matter, right? Oh, my girl had 15 orgasms. She's just a really good liar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to give you kind of an insight into what we talk about, like what women talk about, we don't know either. We don't have penises, so like we have no idea what's supposed to. I'll tell you, the first time I ever saw an uncircumcised penis, in America, 80% of men are circumcised, and so the first time I ever saw an uncircumcised penis, I was like, "What in the world is that?" So, but it took me talking to my friends to find out that, like, oh, right, this guy that I was dating was Haitian, and that's probably why he was not circumcised, and also this is what an uncircumcised penis looks like. And so, also, to be completely honest, what I've learned is that some women won't even talk to each other because they're friends with each other's mates. So it's like, I don't want to say if he likes me to put my fingers in his butt because then she's going to be looking at him like he's got something wrong with him.
Kind of judge him.
Yeah, so I get that a lot, which is why people come to my public classes. It's like, they're in a room full of strangers they'll never see again. So it's almost like you're anonymous, and you still get to learn about what you want to learn. But I also have women who come to me for like bachelorette parties who have no problem talking to each other. And so I think it's just facilitating community in our communities and destigmatizing and normalizing conversations about sex.
Yeah, so which is basically what the segment for the culture. How can we use your expertise to help promote the culture? It's to teach and educate these people that, hey, it's okay to talk about sex, even if it's not something all the way to what you're doing. It's just know the basics, know what's going on with your body, know how to protect yourself, and know what you enjoy and what you don't.
Yeah, and know the risks involved and what you want to do.
Yeah,
and stop trying to compare yourself to other people. Like, everyone's always like, oh, well, what's normal? Everyone wants to know what's normal, right? What's normal is what you feel. Like, that's what's normal for you. If certain things turn you on or turn you off, that's normal for you.
Yeah, I actually like that. So what's normal is what you feel.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, people comparing, because friends will listen, well, he said his girlfriend does this. Now, one, you don't have any idea if that's true because guys lie
all the
time. And now you going home and you go to your partner and say, hey, well, how come you don't do this? And in her head, all she heard is like, oh, you've been cheating on me with somebody else.
Because
like, what?
Such is doing this.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that come out of not knowing it. We end up ruining relationships and maybe just having people shun us because we ask questions and we want to know, and it's like, why do you want to know? Like, what you've been doing, who you've been talking to. And I know I went through that as a teenager. It was one of those things. I got curious and then I tried to find out, and then my aunt that raised me will find out that I was trying to find out something, and she would call my mom in America. It's like, you need to tell your son to stop doing that. And of course she's like thousands of miles away. I mean, all she can say is like, stop it, and that's it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. So I grew up, I want to say amongst my friends, I was one of the more open and more free person. And even now I'm realizing that I'm really conservative when it comes to sex and everything, because I've met people that are even way out there than me. And I see how freeing it is and how comfortable they are when it comes to talking about sex. And then I'll have them with my friends that I grew up with, and I can see like this two different worlds. I see this comfortable group over here, and then there's this group over here that's just looking at me like, who's this? Why am I even talking to this person right now? You know, I never talk about sex. Now I feel so uncomfortable, and I'm in the middle just looking at it, like, just say something. Come on, don't embarrass me, say something. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, the reason why I think there's so much discomfort around it is because there's so much shame and ridicule around talking about it, we become repressed.
True.
So all of the things that we maybe have like burning desires to want to know or want to experience, we've been taught to stuff down and not talk about. And
True.
so that causes this repression, and like it makes you even like not, it makes the act of sex dirty at that point, right?
Very true.
Because it's like you're so repressed, and you like, I deal with clients who, when they come to me, they're so repressed in their thinking about sex that like we have to start with, okay, sex is not bad. Like, let's start there. It's okay to have an orgasm. Like, pleasure is good. Like, because there's so many institutions and our parents and even sometimes religion that tells us like we must deny ourselves of pleasure. Sexual pleasure and like personal pleasure and personal gratification, and like, yes, gluttony in most forms is not good for you, right?
True.
But everything in moderation, and like pleasure is like essential to your well-being, like essential. Like
it
you
is.
release endorphins and like you de-stress in this way. And when I say pleasure, I'm not just talking about sexual pleasure, but I'm also talking about like sensual pleasure, like enjoying the way things feel on you, and like enjoying intimate touch and good conversation. Like, this is all pleasure, and like we deny ourselves of these things all the time.
No, definitely. And the thing with most guys, when they think about pleasure, they think about, okay, we're just gonna have sex, that's it. There's no foreplay, there's nothing, it's just sex. And then somebody say, oh, well, stop, I want you to do foreplay first. They go, what? Why? And they look at you like, you strange, like, why don't we just do it? And then you're amongst your friends hanging out, and somebody say, yeah, man, it was just foreplay. We had foreplay for like an hour, and then nothing happened, and we just went to bed. And everybody's like, really? You can do that? Like, because we're so programmed that even with the tiny amount of foreplay that we do, it has to end up with intercourse.
Or in an orgasm.
Orgasm. And if the woman does not orgasm, and you think that you failed.
We feel the same way sometimes, right?
Really?
Like, yeah, if a woman is having sex with a man and, you know, she orgasms or doesn't, but he doesn't, it's almost a direct, like, reflection of the quality of your vagina.
Wow. Well, you see, I thought that was just a thing that guys feel, because
we feel
the
it
guys
too.
are like, yeah, man, I don't know, like, I don't think it's gonna work out. It's like, why? And then they don't really want to come out and tell you what happened, but if you just listen closer, you figure out like, yeah, she probably did not orgasm, and then he's feeling bad now. Like, yeah, man, we just don't vibe. It's like, dude, you vibe in every single way possible. It's like, nah, I'm not feeling her. That's just exactly what just happened. And then you go back later on, and then somebody else starts dating her, and everything's going well. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. She's not good.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, she is.
Like,
you just thought you failed.
Because an orgasm is a badge of honor.
Exactly.
Right? And, like, no. And the crazy thing is, like, because we repress ourselves so much, sometimes women can't even advocate for themselves. Like, they don't even know their bodies well enough to say, well, okay, I like this, or I require clitoral stimulation, or, you know, I really like it when you touch my butt. Like, we don't feel empowered to say these things.
True.
And so you guys definitely don't feel empowered.
No, yeah. It's like, I don't even think I was comfortable saying something like that till probably maybe 2-3 years ago. And I was basically in my late 20s. So I say, hey, I actually do like this.
Yeah. Look, so the number one thing that I teach in my classes that women and men really don't know about the male body is that there are two types of orgasm, right? There's the penile orgasm that we all know about, but then there's the prostate orgasm, and that comes from prostate stimulation, which can either be directly through the anus or indirectly through the perineum, which is between
the legs,
the scrotum and the genitals. So it's mind-boggling for me to think that there are men in this world who will die not having experienced the orgasms that their bodies are intended to.
Billions of them.
That's crazy.
Billions. Because a lot of guys just say anything close to that back region is like, oh no, man, yeah, man, I'm not gay. What are you talking about? And then
look, the patriarchy is messing with y'all too. So.
It is. No, it is big time. That's what people don't get.
Yeah.
They think, oh, you guys have it so. No, we do not. Because one, we're judging each other for somebody saying, well, I like anal stimulation. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, wow.
Well, he must be gay.
Yeah, he's
the
gay.
women say it too. And I'm just like, girl.
Yeah, so, with women saying it, I'll forgive them for that, but the other guys, dude, you know you like it too. It's just because I'm saying it. Now, all of a sudden, I'm the gay one, and you're not. And then you're going to go home and ask your girlfriend to do it to you, but then you're going to keep quiet when I say it out loud.
Or you're going to resent your girlfriend because it felt good.
Exactly.
You know?
Because you don't want her to tell her friends.
And then you're not going to tell her, and then you're not going to experience it anymore because, it's just... People shame themselves into having bad sex all the time. I feel like I say this at least once a day. Stop shaming yourself into having bad sex.
Well, I don't think it's really something we think about nowadays. It's just so in us that we just end up doing it. And so it takes somebody like you creating a system to help ease us off of that idea of shame. And I know you sent an article that was talking about pleasures and stuff, and how people are so ashamed to admit the things that they like. And I read it and I was like, yeah, man, that was me. And it took me meeting somebody who was much more open, at least to me, for me to say, hey, by the way, I actually do like this, and this. And it's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. And then I went in my head like, really? You do? Because it was like somebody listening to somebody else say these things. And I'll talk to friends and I'll talk about it. And it's like, wow, man, America has changed you. I'm like, no, it's not America. One, I was 17 when I came to America. So what are you talking about? We never had these conversations. And now I'm telling you this, and just because you've grown up in that culture where sex is a taboo, we don't talk about it. It just happens when you have a baby, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a culture where it's much more acceptable to talk about sex, and I'm telling you what I've learned, and you think like America's changed you. There's a lot of things we blame America for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, and parents will always tell you, it's like, it's because of America. You say one thing to a parent, it's like, yeah, because you went to America, that's why. It's like, no, it's just, there's so much more. There are people like you here to help us get to this new level of consciousness. And unfortunately, not everybody's open to it.
Nope.
And especially for black guys, I don't know if it's because usually most sex experts, I'm guessing, end up being women.
Yeah.
Most of them. So I don't know if it's that pride or that ego. It's like, well, I'm not going to let a woman tell me what to do. But if you with a woman, who do you expect to really teach you about women?
Yeah.
And really, who do you expect to teach you about yourself? Because we just have penises. I don't think we really know how to work with them.
No, which is also why I educate the women too, because it's like, well, if you don't know, then your girl can come home and teach you, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And so, I encourage all of my students to go home and teach and by the way, my classes are not just for women.
Yeah.
But, as a penis pleaser, right? I started my classes kind of geared toward people like me. And now I teach I teach couples classes, right? And so my approach, right, is not to tell you what you should be doing, because you're right, men have very fragile egos.
Yeah, we do.
And I'm not going to pretend to know more about your body. We're not intimate, so I don't know what's happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can sit you down with your partner and say, let's make a model, a physical model, right, of our ideal sexual experience and explain it to each other. So it creates a safe space within your relationship for you to have that conversation with your partner, right? And so that's really the only time I ever see men who are heterosexual is at my couples classes. Yeah, because, you know, they're either they want to like spice up their love lives, or they want their, you know, spouse to try new things. Or what I've been noticing lately is the wife will bring their husband for like their anniversary.
Oh, really?
Because it's like, you know, I'm just helping you have the conversation. I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it or when to do it or why you should, but I am telling you, like, okay, look, this is what's out there. This is all the things that can be done. What do you like? Talk to yourselves. And, you know, it's a very intimate conversation between couples. I leave the room for most parts because, like, it's all about y'all.
About the two people.
Yeah. So, and we play little games, like chess games, to get you guys in the mood to, like, trust each other and communicate with each other. But, yeah, I've realized that, like, my teaching style is less about, like, lecturing, unless we're talking, like, anatomy and how things work, and more facilitating a conversation, because you're not going to do it on your own, right?
Yeah, that's
and we're
true.
So afraid to talk about it. So,
because that's also what is affecting the families. It's these little things. It's she's not letting me talk about the things I want to try, or he's not into what I'm into. So maybe we're not meant to be together, and separating homes. And we have non-black friends who are much more freer than us, and they have great relationships, and you're looking at them like, what are you doing I'm not doing? It's like, well, we talk about sex. Like, oh, no, we don't do that. We're church people. Like,
my first clients were non-black. Like, my first, all of the, like, you know, people who wanted to try it just because they saw it on Eventbrite, all non-black. But as, like, the word got out, it's really diverse now. And I think that we're learning, because believe it or not, I worked with a pastor who was like creating this couples cruise. And she was like, look, I'm not ashamed to talk about it. We have kids.
Exactly.
Y'all are married, okay? God created us, so let's talk about what it is that we can do. Like, so, yeah.
No, that's the thing. It's people have imposed these rules and stuff on sex, and they think, well, if, for example, the pastor, I'm pretty sure that people out there that are judging her saying, well, you call yourself a pastor and you're getting involved in things like this. Like, she might even lose members of the congregation.
Or she'll gain people because she's being real.
True.
You know?
Well, she'll gain the people that accept that, but the main solid core, the ones that are still affecting the community, are going to leave just because they don't believe in those things. So, question, how many black people, that I would say maybe older than 30s, like older than millennials, have you ever had as clients?
So when you think about the population of my clients that are black, 50-50.
Oh, really?
There are a lot of women over 40 who come to me after divorce, after menopause, after being widowed to, figure it out. I didn't know before what to do, and here I am at this age, and I want to know. I need to know.
What about guys?
I don't see many guys. I don't see. Now I see some gay guys. They come to my classes, but men are less likely to come to a social event to learn about something that affects their ego.
True.
Right? So what I've done is created online classes for people to still maintain their anonymity, right? y'all are Googling how to do this stuff anyway, right?
Yes,
telling everybody you
yes,
know everything, but you're Googling, okay? And Google is flawed. We all know that.
Yeah.
So, so I've created these online classes that, you can have access to forever. And what my favorite class, and this is the flagship class, is called How to Eat Cake, Cunnilingus 101. And because, look, my first in-person class was the fellatio class. But and for those of you who don't know what cunnilingus is, it's the art of oral pleasure on a vagina. So I realized that, oral sex is something that people don't know much about. They want to improve their skills on it, right? And so men are not going to come sit in a circle, carve, vagina models and talk about it, but they will take an online class. Yeah,
but that's another thing too, where you mentioned that most of the guys end up being gay guys, and growing up, I've found out that a lot of my friends stay away from having gay friends because they believe that, being friends to somebody who's gay is going to mean that you're gay. I'm like,
because
no.
It's contagious?
Apparently it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had no idea, and I've been around gay people all this time. So
if you hang around a gay person and it makes you gay, you were never straight.
Exactly my point. And it took me working with people who were gay and making friends who were gay and realizing, hey, I am secured in my manhood, and I'm fine. I would joke, I would laugh and play with somebody, but at the end of the day, they know I'm straight. I know you're gay. We're friends. That's all it is.
Yep. And the men who project their shame onto gay men typically have something inside of them that is making them feel threatened, right?
Yeah.
And so, my charge to those men who have this severe homophobia, right? Because homophobia is rampant in our community.
Oh, it is.
And so, but I think that a lot of times it's self-loathing. You know what I mean? It's I hate gay people because maybe I like fingers in my butt. And maybe if you knew that fingers in your butt wasn't a gay thing, you wouldn't hate gay people.
Maybe. Yeah.
Again, this is why I do the work.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I kept saying it's really great to have somebody like you in the community, somebody helping us understand ourselves. Because we as guys, we claim we know everything. And we don't even ask for directions. So, what makes you think we're going to actually go out there and ask somebody
how to do this?
Yeah, right? How to do this. No. I know I'm lost. I've been lost for the last 2 hours, but I'm not asking anybody for directions. I'll figure it out. But so, I'm not going to walk outside and say, hey, by the way, can you tell me about sex? No way.
No.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you end up going for years and decades, and you have no idea what you're doing. Losing partners and you meet somebody who's freer than you, who's like, nah, man, she's a slut.
Right, she must be a hoe.
Exactly.
Who's she been with? She know everything?
Exactly. It's like, you don't see yourself as a problem. You don't see yourself as a person who's in the box. You see the other person as a problem. You project everything on them. And I used to be one of those people. It's always like, oh, nah, man, yeah, I can't be with her. And then later on, looking back, and I realized, hey, they just knew more than I did. That's all it was.
The number one thing that I hear from young black men is, you can tell a girl's a hoe by how tight her vagina is.
Yeah.
Let me just state for the record that the vagina is a very stretchy tube of material. Okay, it's like a glove, right? Yeah. No matter how many times you put a glove on, it's still going to fit. Okay,
very true.
The muscles inside of that part of you, right, are controlled by a lot of things, genetics, and certain health predispositions.
Yeah.
And anyway, a virgin could be loose, and the most promiscuous woman on the block could be the tightest person that you've ever felt. And when I say that to men, it's their mind is blown.
Yeah.
But I think it's also because like sex is often used as a weapon. Like it's used to like show power, and that's also why we have rape, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the ultimate form of power, and so not allowing yourself to be free when you are giving yourself that power, quote unquote, is doing yourself a really disservice. And like you're not ever going to get it. Like you know what I mean?
Very true.
Like it's just
no, I get exactly what you mean. And again, it's that thing that people just assume, well, she's been with so many people, so she's so loose and whatever. And then somebody that tells you, or in your mind claims to be a virgin, is like, nah, there's no way she was a virgin, man. She was so loose. Like, dude, come on. Like, yeah.
All bodies are made differently.
Very different. And as guys, we should know that, because it's really obvious in us with penises and everything. They're not the same.
No.
I know and another thing I found out, a guy would never talk about anything he's going through in that region around his friends, ever. If you talk to a friend, that's like a brother. That's when you know you guys are like deep friends. But just people that you should be comfortable to share those things with, nah, he will hide it, and he will not talk to anybody.
But same here. Like women, we don't talk about this either, because like we don't know how things are supposed to work. We just don't. We don't know if there's supposed to be a smell. Is it supposed to like leak? Is it you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's also why people don't like go to the doctor either. I work with a lot of medical professionals, urologists, gynecologists, nurse practitioners who basically they call me on like the front lines, because people, you're right, they just they won't seek help because they won't talk about it. They don't want to tell a stranger or a doctor or someone that they can't get it up, or that it hurts when they pee, or that it takes certain positions to orgasm, you know what I mean? And people just aren't getting the help that they need. And at that point it becomes like a public health issue, right? It becomes a reproductive health issue.
It is.
So
it's
not just like extracurricular, we're getting our kicks off.
No, that's exactly what people don't understand, is like seeking mentorship or education for sex. It doesn't make you weird. It doesn't mean that's you're just trying to be kinky. Yeah, you can be kinky and all. I mean, I'm not judging kinky. I like kinky, but it's also helping you understand the process, the biology behind it. I studied biology in undergrad and everything, so I know the biology, but then I was missing on all this other portion of it. It's like, okay, yeah, you know the anatomy, but do you really know how to utilize it? And it took a while. So, well, for the female body, the vagina, it's like, yeah, I could reproduce that thing on a paper every single time. And then I came face to face with it. I'm like, okay, what do we do with this? And it took a lot of trials to actually even have an idea of what I'm doing. And then I'll find out something that's like, oh my God, like, I never knew this.
And also, what works for one partner doesn't really work for the next one.
Yeah. I wish somebody had told me that a while back. Cause it was like, hey, this works for this person, so let's try it. It's like, oh, well, you must be weird, because it's worked before, so I don't know what's wrong with you. Yes, all of a sudden it's her problem. It's her fault. I don't know what's wrong with you, because I know it works. I've tried it before, it works. And
not on this body.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're looking at you like, what are you talking about? It's like, nah, you don't get it. It's just, you're just weird. I mean, it's okay. I love you for who you are. But that's what a lot of guys do. It's like, we try one thing, it worked out, we feel proud of ourselves.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we go and try it again. It doesn't work out. It's like, well, maybe I was having an off day. Try it again, it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, well, it's not me.
It's not normal, right?
It's not normal. It's like, yeah. And then you don't want to try anything else, because now you failed once, you failed twice. You don't want to fail again, because that ego. And a lot of guys want to have threesomes, but they forget they always have it because the ego is in the room with them at all times. It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm a bisexual woman, and I've been approached a lot about threesomes in my life, right? And typically it's men who think that the women are going to be laying side by side, and their sole goal is to please both of the women because they're the biggest, best man in the room. And it's just, that's crazy. Like, people don't have sex with other people to stroke their egos.
Exactly. And I've told friends, I was like, hey, you're really asking for this, but trust me, when you're in that situation, I don't think you're going to really want it, because this is just an idea. It's just something you see on TV and movies.
Or in the pornos, where the women really are laying next to each other. But like,
I think that's how it's going to happen. It's like, imagine how awkward that's going to be.
Also, like, it's not enjoyable for the person who's left out. Like,
it's like, oh, so what are you doing? So just checking Instagram, just checking my timeline. On my phone. On my timeline until my turn.
Definitely been in those situations.
Yeah, that's really weird, because, and I tell friends this, and it's like, nah, man, you wait till I get. It's like, dude, it's never gonna be like that,
because it's not about you. Like, I could sit here and talk all day about like threesomes and polyamory, which is something that, like, the Black community, we are not. It's funny because, like, we will never openly talk about polyamory, but there are so many of us living in polyamorous relationships and don't even know it. So, I'm happy to, like, shine a light into, what other people have created as normal for them.
Yeah. And that's really why I'm glad that you came on. And I'm going to share all the links and everything. I'll share the study that you mentioned, and also I'll share the article you sent me the very first time and your website. And if you have any upcoming events or anything, I'm definitely going to go ahead and share that. And please, 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 guys, go and learn.
Yes.
Like, humble yourself. Like, leave the ego at home. The ego could be fine for just one day, because just go out there and learn, and just don't lose somebody because you don't know what you're doing. Especially if somebody you care for, if you really care that much, go out there and learn these things. And if you want to learn from somebody from your culture, I have Reba the Diva.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, she's going to go ahead and do that for you. Be there, or just get the online courses as well. And if you don't want anybody to know you're doing it, and so the link is on your website for the course, right? So just go online, get it, pay for it, and watch it in your home. And
I've got free classes too. I teach live classes twice a month, so just check the website.
Yeah, check the website and jump on it. And you usually on live, Instagram live as well.
I do some Instagram lives. I'm working on it, trying to figure out.
Because I know you did one with the nurse practitioner.
I did. Yes, Nurse Jenna. She's awesome.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I was one of the ones in there. Yeah, but that's one of the things that you got to do, just to learn the things that you need to. If you're not comfortable being out there, just go somewhere. Maybe go to another city where nobody knows you. Yeah. And go to one, and you never know, you might maybe actually meet somebody there too. Yeah. So I'm not promoting breaking up relationships, but if you go and meet somebody that you're much more comfortable with and it works out better, why not?
Well, I think you definitely should just learn how to prioritize your pleasure. Like, you can't know how to advocate for your pleasure if you don't know what that even is.
Yep.
Time for the talk.
So, Reba, I just want us to wrap it up and have you, if there are certain things you can advise, not just men, but the Black community, of how we should approach sex, pleasure, and sex education, what are those things that you would tell them?
I'm going to leave you with this thought, right? As Black people, we are often hypersexualized, over-sexualized, fetishized as these passionate, beautiful, sexual Black creatures, right? Don't allow that image to rule you, okay? find out the truth for yourself.
Yeah.
Know what your pleasure is, what pleases you, okay? Don't worry about your partner right now. I'm saying find out what pleases you, because when you can say what pleases you, that opens the door for your partner to say what pleases them.
True.
And that puts you guys both on a journey to having a better, intimate life together.
Yeah, gems. Hey guys, so you heard it from her. Wait, so I'm not this sexual being that people have been saying that I am?
I mean, you can be, but own it. Own it.
Oh.
You know, don't let that be something that's shameful.
Oh, because I was owning it.
Own it,
Yeah.
you sexy beast.
Yeah, actually, I think I need a shirt that says I'm the sexiest beast alive. Yeah, but guys, please, we joke and we laugh about it, but it's very serious. Your sexual being, your pleasure is as important as your mental state, which is another thing that a lot of black men struggle with, and that's for another day, people. We're gonna talk about that another day. Reba, it was a pleasure having you. I really appreciate everything, and definitely gonna be in one of those classes, quite possibly in the next few days. But I've gone through a lot of things. I know you have the checklist for couples and everything, and I actually printed it out. So she doesn't know yet, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I use for my couples class. You print out 2 copies, give her one, you take one, complete them separately, and then over dinner, talk about it. Just talk. Not, in the bed, not before an intimate moment, but like when you guys have a space to be alone and quiet, talk about it. Just start the conversation.
Yeah, that's all it takes, people. Just start the conversation. And you don't know everything about your body. Please, guys, you don't. Trust me. You think you do, but you do not.
Well, it changes over time, too. So.
That is true. It gets really wrinkly, too, sometimes. So watch out for that. But thank you, Reba. I really appreciate it. Definitely would like to have you again. Maybe down the line, get you on board and see if we can maybe do like a class kind of things every now and then for the guys. If you have any feedback for this, please shoot me an email, send me a DM, and I'll connect you guys with Reba.
Well, that's all for today, folks. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Apparent Little Mr. Gander. It's always a pleasure having you. Please don't forget to review us on iTunes and share with your friends on all your social media platforms. If you have any topics you would like to discuss, please send me an email at info@mrgander.com or DM me on Instagram. If you have any guests that you would like to hear, please let me know. I'll try to reach out to them. Remember, my show is not perfect. I'm not perfect. Life is not perfect. If you accept this, thank you. If you don't, goodbye.